talk to Gage.
This is so cool. Alright guys, so this is very different. I've not made a video quite like this on my channel yet. I'm not a human anymore, I'm just hands. I'm literally just a pair of hands. So anyways, I figured we would take a look at this volume of Game Informer. As you can see, it is Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, in the magazine, on the front cover. That is really cool. I like that. I got this maybe about a week ago, something like that, and I've already looked through it and I read through a bunch of it, but I just want to kind of show it off just because it's so cool to me, and I just kind of want to like share that passion with you guys a little bit. So without further ado, let's just dive into this thing. Let's just check it out. So obviously the front cover here, it's King Kong. This art is great. I like this a whole lot. And the first page here, we have a car. What is this? Nissan? And no one cares. No one cares about that. What is this? Madden 06. Some kind of wrestling campaign thing that they were doing for marketing. Also, can't claim I personally care that much about Madden. I've never really been into it that much, so this is whatever. Sid Meier's Pirates. Interesting. Destroy All Humans. This is the original version. And by the way, this magazine came out in 2005. So like this is a lot of like pretty classic games now, pretty retro by today's standards. And it's very interesting because 2005 is like almost 20 years ago now. Like we're almost at 20 years exactly for when this came out. So it's crazy to look back at some of these games, some of these things that were marketed at the time, and it's just really wild what was going on here. But yeah, Destroy All Humans, I've never played it, but I am familiar with it, and it's cool that like the original version, not like the new remake and all that, was here in this volume. I think that is pretty cool stuff, you know? Hypnotize, vaporize, and terrorize. This is Nightmare. This scared me a lot when I first saw it. This is weird on multiple levels. I never want to look at this. I don't even want to touch it. That's terrifying. What is this for? Oh, it's for Verizon. And we have the contents over here. That's pretty cool. Lots of cool stuff we're gonna get into. But somewhat spoilers, so we're just gonna keep on going. Staff, you know, that's cool. These cool people, you know, did this. And another ad right here for a car game. That's pretty cool. This mentions a bunch of things about all these pictures here. It's pretty cool, you know. I think there's some like cool things that they mentioned or talked about in this little section here. Here we have Conquered. We're just kind of skimming through all these parts here, you know, a lot of reading, a lot of things like that. You know, it's pretty cool, but I like pictures. Like these fan art pictures right here. I like these. We got Katamari here. I think this is Kingdom Hearts. You know, God of War, General Grievous, and I don't know what this one. Oh, it's Onimusha on the side. That's that sort of a Resident Evil type samurai game that Capcom made. I think that's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool piece of art there, honestly. I like that. More ads. Oh, this is cool. Like they're talking about the 360, and you know, like this was the new thing at the time, and it's crazy now looking back on it because it's like, dude, 360 is like so old, but at the time this was new stuff, and that's cool. It's really interesting to kind of read about it and see what people are saying about these old consoles at the time. Nintendo shoots down HD. The Wii was not in HD in an era where everything was jumping to HD, and it is definitely pretty odd. Ultimate Spider-Man, remember this ad? There's something cool about this later on in this volume. Bunch of articles right here, a bunch of little things that they talked about across the industry. His face looks funny. It keeps going. What? Why does this ad keep going? What is this? Oh my gosh. Football. NCAA. Oh my gosh. That's crazy. More things right here. It's pretty, I would say it's pretty interesting, but I actually don't really care that much, if I'm being honest with you. The new Atari. Wow. How many times has Atari done this? How many times has Atari like tried to jump back from the brink and do something interesting or cool, at least like interesting, and it's really just been nothing. And then they keep on having like their revival, and it's really not anything at all. This was hilarious to me. It's just some random phone game on like a flip phone. This is so funny. Like there was a time when this was the stuff. Like this was the real deal right here. People were into this type of stuff, at least to some extent. I'm sure it's not anywhere near what it is today with mobile games, but this is really interesting to look at now, because you're like, this did not age well, you know, like that is not something that we're still using today at all. Oh yeah, and then the very next page, I mean, of course, this is just like, things like basically just advertisement for different products, but there's a Nokia here, and that is also so funny to me because, again, Nokia, it's like a brick, you know, people joke about those things nowadays. More ads, PSP movies. I actually did not know this was a thing, and when I saw this, I was like, that's interesting. I didn't totally care, but then I saw Predator was on it, and I feel like that would be interesting to have. That'd be really cool to have, and see it on a PSP. Even though I don't have a PSP, I would have to fix that. I'd have to fix that first before I could actually, watch it. But it's just a cool thing. Kind of a schedule of things that were coming out at the time. It's interesting because there's certain movies even on here, and Wario. I mean that's pretty cool. And then some RPGs, a tactical RPG thing. It was at E3 2005 apparently from Namco. I honestly don't know anything about it, but it's cool. This is the real deal right here. This is when I got so excited. This is the whole reason I bought this thing. Because literally, by the way, I got this thing on eBay for like $10 maybe. And then I really did it because it was King Kong. Like, for those of you who don't know, Peter Jackson's King Kong, the official game of the movie, is one of my top 10 favorite games of all time. To me, it's just one of the most fun, innovative, and interesting games that not nearly enough people today are taking notes from because of how immersive it was, and it almost plays like a survival horror game in the human sections. It's so fun, and it's so good. To me, it's like the pinnacle of movie licensed games because it does something genuinely interesting with its concepts. It's perfect, and the concepts of the movie specifically, and it really like tied into the movie well, and they used a lot of the same assets, and this article actually talks quite a bit about that type of stuff. This article in this volume came out or this issue rather, came out before the game actually released. So it's actually sort of giving you an idea of, their impressions of the game, sort of what was being said about it around the time, what Peter Jackson was saying in interviews. It's sort of a lead up to the actual release, not a review of it having been released, if that makes sense. It's really cool to read about it now because you're reading all these different thoughts that people had before it even came out, and honestly a lot of them are really positive. It's so interesting, the different things that are sort of like talked about in here, including, like I was saying, the assets being shared across the movie and video game team is so cool. Like, Peter Jackson really cared about this game being a good licensed game. He wanted it to be sort of like a connected piece of the Peter Jackson's King Kong lore and world that he was building, and I think they succeeded and did a really good job at that, because I think this game's fantastic, honestly, and it's interesting to see the things that Peter Jackson himself even talked about in all of this. Really cool. I like that. It's also cool they say up here, it's like the cover story right there, which is also, really awesome. Really, really awesome. And, they talk about like a different kind of tension, like the game really was tense. Like it really did feel like a survival horror game in a lot of respects, and that's part of the reason why I love it so much. There's no like ammo counter on screen or reticle. You just have to basically wing it, and you can turn those things on. They even mention that in the articles, that you can turn on a lot of those convenient options, but I usually keep them off. I almost always these days keep those off entirely because I feel like it's the way the game was meant to be played. And right here, It's Michel Ancel. And right here it talks about a true partnership. And it's because Michel Ancel is the creator of Rayman, Beyond Good and Evil, and he's directed other games as well. But he was the real mastermind behind this video game being as good as it is. It's really because of him that, it stood out so much, because he wanted to do something interesting with it. And he's one of the all-time great, video game developers, of our time. And yeah, I think they truly did an amazing job on it. And right here, they even have like full-on interview with Peter Jackson himself. Let's read one of these. So in one of them, it says, let's read this one. I was trying to pick one to read. Let's read this one right here. And this is basically they're asking Peter Jackson questions. And the question is, what made you choose Michel Ancel and Ubisoft to do the game? What did you feel that they offered over other studios and game designers? And then this is what Jackson said. He said, I first became aware of Michel Ancel's work because I had a wonderful time playing Beyond Good and Evil. It was a wonderful adventure, it was imaginative, and there were great characters. I thought, wow, if somebody this imaginative can take that story and actually get me so involved in it, this is the sort of person I would love to work with on King Kong. Ubisoft and Michel Ancel offered me a chance to work collaboratively and have direct involvement and input into the creation of the game. They have a proven track record of making excellent games that really grab players and thrust them into a dynamic story, and this is what was a priority for me in making a King Kong video game. That's awesome. It's just cool, all the things that they asked Peter Jackson here, and then he answered with. It's really just super, super cool stuff, overall. And I really, really like that quite a bit. And then in this same issue, Half-Life 2 was talked about. That's wild. That's wild that Half-Life 2 didn't get the front cover. Peter Jackson's King Kong did. Half-Life 2 could have gotten it, but this game did. And it's that's crazy, right? A lot of people probably looking at this and don't know much about Peter Jackson's King Kong, and are like, wait, what? They give it to that trash game, that movie license game, over Half-Life 2? But they did, and this is still pretty big article. They're saying a lot about Half-Life 2, but it's crazy because it didn't get the cover, and I don't know, that's interesting to me, What is this? I don't even know what this game is right here. Ghost Recon Advanced Warfighter. All right, look, this is another game. If y'all know me in some of the older videos on this channel that we worked on, this is one of my favorite video game series of all time. I don't think any one game in particular is on my top 10 of all time, at least not as of right now. But this right here is awesome. This game is so cool. It's also amazing that this is my favorite issue. It just has to be, because it has all these different games that are really prolific and big, or I really have a personal connection to them, and I really like this game quite a bit. And the funny thing is that all these pictures, they look very different, and they're from different versions of this game pretty much. This first person picture right here, that one is from the PC version, because the PC version was in first person. The 360 PS3 version is in third person. So Ubisoft did that thing quite a bit where they would have different versions of the same game. Really odd, but they did do that quite a bit with the Tom Clancy games, and I'm not totally sure why. Dragon Quest 5, 6, 7, 8. Dragon Quest 8, I had to read it. I had to count it up. Dragon Quest 8 had a little bit of an article thing talking about it right here in a preview, which is really cool, seeing these pictures. JRPGs are always interesting to look back on in things like this because of, how valuable they are later on down the line, especially, I'm sure that game is super expensive now. I don't actually know for sure, but, I'm sure it is. A lot of RPGs generally go up in price like crazy. Apparently The Godfather had a video game. This is interesting. I think that's cool that that's also in here. I don't know what this is, but it looks cool. And actually, it looks like Nippon Ichi, so NIS. This was an NIS thing. whatever it is. Don't know what Generation of Chaos is. Y'all have to let me know in the comments if you know what that is. But that's kind of cool. Oh, we got a little... Gotta fold that out. Marvel Nemesis, Rise of the Imperfects. Don't know what this one is either, but that's kind of cool. Some Marvel games out here are pretty good. All right, this is interesting looking. Advent Rising, I don't know what this is, but this looks really cool to me. Like, I don't know what it was about this. I think it's just this one picture, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's literally just this. I don't know what this is. Just reading like what little is here, this game looks really cool. So I don't know if this is actually a good game. Again, y'all have to let me know because I don't know anything about it. I haven't looked into it at all, but it could be cool. I don't know. Y'all have to let me know on that one. Samurai 7. I think this was an anime. Yeah, Funimation's on here. So yeah, this must have been some kind of physical, DVD release of this show. That's just cool, man. Like it's just cool that. It's cool collecting physical media like that, you know? I mean, that's the whole reason why I'm doing this, you know? So I can look back on this video and be like, oh man, I remember that volume of Peter Jackson's King Kong in Game Informer being so cool. And now I can, you know, watch this video and see it all for myself again. Dirge of Cerberus, this is a Final Fantasy VII spin-off, basically. And it has Vincent Valentine as the main character. And it's cool because, like, there's Kate Sith, the little cat character. Literally just right there. It's cool that's also in this volume. Some other games here, you know, just cool variety. I think the next few pages are kind of like that. They just have a lot of different, you know, games kind of talked about. Yeah, it's just cool kind of seeing these. Oh, Metroid Prime Hunters. This was a cool one for me to see because that's the DS Metroid Prime game. And like, it always looks so ugly to me because it's on the DS, but it's also just such a cool game to exist at all. And it would be cool to get my hands on that one day and just try it, but probably hasn't aged super well, admittedly. Oblivion was talked about here. Star Wars Empire at War. I don't know anything about that game, but it's a Star Wars game. I'm surprised it hasn't been re-released lately because they were re-releasing like everything, it seems like, from Star Wars. I've heard a lot of these, but you know, there's a good handful of games in here that I was like, man, I don't know anything about that. It's kind of interesting. I felt like, you know, I had a pretty good grasp of games that existed out there and what was, you know, things maybe I haven't even played necessarily, but just existed. But I don't know, reading this, there's definitely a lot in here that I wasn't as familiar with. Some other things here. Batman Begins. Remember how I told you to remember that ad? Ultimate Spider-Man. This one's Venom. That's cool. I like that. I like the first one was Spider-Man, and it, you know, it was red and, you know, advertising the same game, but then this one's got the purple look to it. It's the same thing. So like, I don't know. If you're gonna advertise to me, at least do it interesting. Other game, Psychonauts right here. Oh, these are reviews. This is when they started the review section of this issue, and Psychonauts right there. RPG Maker 3. That's really interesting that was in here. Is that NIS? No, actually, it was not NIS. NIS, they have like the 2D looking one. This one looks like 3D. So I don't know. A third one, I didn't know this existed. 6.5 is not super great, but y'all have to let me know if that's anything notable at all. Conquer Live Reloaded, that remake is right here. King of Fighters, Sid Meier's Pirates has got its review right there. Battlefield 2, Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, Midnight Club 3. Like, it's just cool. I know I've said that word so many times looking through this volume, but it really is. It's just interesting seeing what was talked about at the time. Yoshi's Topsy-Turvy. I will say it's always sad to me how Nintendo games seem to get less and less representation in Game Informer magazines than they used to, way back in like the 90s, early 2000s. Because there's like 3 things, and we'll get to the final one in here. It's really interesting, but yeah, I don't know. I feel like Nintendo is my favorite to read about, and like anything around like their consoles and games. Like to me, you look back on it, it's like those are the coolest ones to read about. And it's just always sad to me how Game Informer doesn't have as much of that, you know? Some charts, lots of little words here. I'm not really sure what all that is, but secret access. I think this is where cheat codes come in. You literally have cheat codes up in this section right here. And that's like so odd that's even a thing. Halo 2 multiplayer pack right here. That is so different than what we get today, you know? It's so different. Oh, what is this? Oh, it's Ultima, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Classic RPG. Never played them, but I've heard of them. I did watch like a long retrospective about like the history of RPGs, and I know Ultima is one of those like old ones, like classic. Super Ghouls and Ghosts, Tomba. That looks like Chrono Trigger, but it's Lunar. Silver Star Story Complete. That's a name. That's quite the name. And the final page, Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. Yes. That's so cool. I like this game. I like this game a lot. One day when we get this game on NSO via GBA Online, I'm totally going to be playing that more and play through the Ephraim story route, because I just did Erica the first time I played it, but I'd love to do Ephraim. And then Dark Watch is on the back. But yeah, this is just kind of a random video idea I had that I wanted to, try out, sort of document this volume forever, so I'll always, in one way or another, have it to look through. And to me, it's just the coolest issue ever, and that's really because of nostalgia. It's really because of my personal connection to this game. But yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed it. Hopefully this is an enjoyable video, and thanks for hanging out. That is the issue.